BF Day proudly presents Mr. M's Math Games and Math Breakthroughs.
All right, hello and welcome to episode 5 of Mr. M's Math Games and Math Breakthroughs. I'm so excited to have you again. So today we are going to learn a new game called Odd Pig Out, which is super fun. If you hadn't been before, we've played this game before, but it's really, really fun. And then we are going to read a book and learn about a famous mathematician. This is A Boy Who Loved Math, The Improbable Life of Paulo Erdos. I'm going to read that book to you, and we're going to learn about his life, and then there will be a Flipgrid question that you will answer at the end. So let's get started and learn how to play Odd Pig Out. All right, so let's play Odd Pig Out. So this game is really fun. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get 300 quicker than your partners. And if you can see here on the PowerPoint, you can play up to 4 people. You can just play it by yourself as well. And then one thing that I haven't been stressing, and I apologize for this, is if this PowerPoint isn't working, you can also just play this game in your math notebook. And you don't necessarily have to use this PowerPoint. This is just meant for it's kind of ease of use, and so that you're not using a lot of kind of paper, or you don't have to print anything out. So, and then the other reminder is if these dice aren't working for you, and if for some of you they don't work, I have included the link to that dice roller website that I showed you before. So I'm going to play by myself today, so I'm going to be player 1. So I'm going to write here, Mr. Maldonado. And so I'm going to roll these 2 dice, and then you'll kind of hopefully get the hang of it here. So I'm going to start the slideshow, and I'm going to click on the 2 dice. And they are going, and I'm going to close my eyes, pause one, and then pause the other one. So I have 2 times 5. So I got 2 numbers, I multiply them together. If the product is even, then I can keep it. If the product is odd, then I lose all the points for that turn unless I bank it. So 2 times 5 is 10, and so I'm going to keep that. And so I'm going to go here and write 10. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to roll again. So I can keep rolling until I get either an odd number or I decide to bank everything. So I'm going to keep going. So let's do it again. And I'm going to close my eyes, look away, stop that one. Oop. Sorry about that. And let's pause and pause. 6 and 3. 6 times 3 is... I know that 6 times 2 is 12, so 12 plus 6 is 18. All right, so 18, right there, 18. So now I have 10 plus 18, so I have 28 points. Again, I can decide to keep going, or I can decide to stop. I'm gonna go one more time. Plus, okay, let's see if it pays off. All right, let's start, and I'm gonna start that one, let's start this one, and I'm gonna pause it 2 times and pause it. Oop. I got a 2 this time. I'm gonna do it again. I got 2 last time, right? So I got 2. And then let's play here. Ooh, 2 times 2. Okay, that's 4. Oh, am I feeling 22 plus 10. Oh man, I don't know. Oh, no, that's 22. 18 plus 10, that's 28. 28 plus 4 is 32. I'm going to go one more time. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to go one more time. Let's do it. Okay. Pause and pause. 4 times 3, that's 12. 4 times 3 is 12. I'm going to bank. I'm going to stop. I'm freaking out. Take a moment right now on the screen and add mine up. How much do I have right now? Be creative in how you're thinking about them. So here's how I'm going to add them. So I have the 18 and the 12, and I see the 8 and 2, and I can combine it to make 10. So that's 20 plus another 10, that's 30. And then that other 10, that's 40 plus the 4. I have 44 points banked now. So 44 points. So now that ends that, and then I could go again. So let's go again. So I have 44 points, and I'm trying to get to 300. I'm going to roll that dice, roll the dice, pause, and pause. 2 times 4 is 8. Yes, so I'm going to write 8. That is even, so I keep going. I'm going to start the dice again. All right, let's do this. Okay. I got stop. 2 times 6, 12. Ooh, man. I'm going to keep going. Feeling particularly lucky right now. Let's go. Pause. Boop. And pause. And pause. 4 times 4. Ooh. 4 times 4 is 16. You know what? Nope. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing it. All right, let's see. 3 times 1. Oh no, 3 times 1 is 3. So because I landed on an odd number, all these numbers that I banked, the 8, the 12, and the 16, I lose them. So I can't put them in the bank. But I still have my 44 points. I saved those from before. But I lost all of them during that turn. So now I have to start all over. So I'm not going to go all the way to 300. But I'm wondering if you can get to 300 and how long it takes you to get to 300. So go ahead and pause the video and play Odd Pig Out. Again, it's way more fun if you play with others, but if you can play by yourself just like I did, that's also okay. But it is pretty exciting to play with other people. It could get pretty loud, and if you have dice at home, it's probably a little bit more exciting. If not, use the dice in the PowerPoint, or you can go to the Google website. But good luck, and I'm excited to hear how you do. All right, so I hope you had fun playing Odd Pig Out. I am now going to read this book, The Boy Who Loved Math, The Improbable Life of Paulo Erdos by Deborah Heligman and pictures by Luen Pham. So let's get started here. There once was a boy who loved math. He grew up to be one of the greatest mathematicians who ever lived, and it all started with a big problem. Notice these numbers. What do you notice about those numbers? I wonder if you notice anything. Paul Erdos lived in Budapest, Hungary, with his mama. Mama loved Paul to infinity. Paul loved Mama to infinity too. When he was 3, Mama had to go back to work as a math teacher. She didn't want anything bad to happen to Paul, so she left him with one person she knew would take good care of him. She left him with Frau Lane. Frau Lane had too many rules. That was the problem. Paul hated rules. He hated to be told when to sit still, when to eat, when to go to sleep. What could Paul do? He couldn't exactly solve the problem, but Paul knew that when summer came, Mama would be home with him all day, 100% of the time. So he taught himself to count really high. Then he figured out how many days would be until summer vacation. It made him feel much better to know the number. So Paul kept counting and thinking about numbers. One day, when he was 4, Paul asked a visitor when her birthday was. She told him. What year were you born? He asked. She told him. What time? She told him. Paul thought for a moment. Then he told her how many seconds she had been alive. 1,09,152,358 seconds. Paul liked that trick. He did it often. Paul played with numbers. He added them together and subtracted them. One day, he subtracted a bigger number from a smaller number. The answer was less than 0. How could a number be less than 0? Mama told him numbers below 0 are called negative numbers. Paul thought that was so cool. Now he knew for sure he wanted to be a mathematician when he grew up. But first, he had to tackle another big problem. School. Mama sent him to school, of course, when it was time, but Paul and school were not a good match. Paul could not sit still for long, so he got up and ran around the classroom. But that was against the rules. Oh, how Paul hated rules. How could he solve this problem? Paul told Mama he didn't want to go to school anymore, not for one more day, for 0 days. He wished he could take days away, negative school days. He pleaded with Mama to stay home. Luckily, Mama was a worrier, so she worried about germs a lot. She worried Paul could catch dangerous germs from the children at school. So she helped him solve his problem. She said he could stay home with... Who do you think he's going to stay home with? His favorite person. Fraulein! But even Fraulein was better than school, maybe 500 times better. Fraulein and Mama did everything for Paul. They cut his meat and buttered his bread and got him dressed and tied his shoes. That was great. It meant Paul could think about numbers all day. Numbers were his best friends. He could always depend on numbers to be there and behave in the same way. Numbers followed rules. He didn't like rules in life, but he liked rules in numbers. And so Paul turned 7, then 8, and then 9. And when Paul was 10, he fell in love. He fell in love with prime numbers. Prime numbers are special. They can't be divided evenly. A prime number can be divided only by itself and 1. First prime number is 2, but that is the only even prime number. All the other prime numbers are odd. The number 3, 5, and 7 are prime, but not all odd numbers are prime. 9 isn't prime because you can multiply 3 times 3 to get 9. We have a big list here of some numbers. You can tell what those are. If you want to pause the video, you can. Paul had a lot of questions about prime numbers. Do they go on forever? Is there a pattern to them? Why is it that the higher up you go, the farther apart the prime numbers are? Paul loved to think about prime numbers. When he got older, Paul wanted to go to high school. He liked school a million times better now. He had made many friends, people his age who loved math and were really good at it too. Paul and his friends did math together all over Budapest, but Paul was the best. He loved being at the top in math and at the top of towers and mountains and buildings too. He thought about math whatever he was doing, wherever he was. There's different pictures of Paul around Budapest. By the time Paul was 20, he was already famous around the world for his math. People called him the magician from Budapest. Look at all those people looking at this 20-year-old. But he still did not know how to do his laundry, or cook his food, or butter his bread. That was not a problem. He still lived at home and Mama still did everything for him. But then, one day, when Paul was 21, some mathematicians invited him to go to England to work on his math. Could he survive it out there in the world on his own? He rode the train by himself. He met the mathematicians. They went to dinner. Everyone else talked and ate, but Paul stared at his bread. He stared at his butter. He didn't know how to butter his bread. Finally, he took his knife, put some butter on it, and spread it on his bread. Whew, he did it. It wasn't so hard, he said. Even though he could now butter his own bread, Paul soon realized that he didn't fit into the world in a regular way. He wasn't the kind of person to cook or clean or drive a car or have a wife and children. He wasn't the kind of person to live in one place and have one job. He was the kind of person to do math all of the time, and he still didn't like to follow rules, so he invented his own way to live. Here's what he did. Paul would get on an airplane with 2 small suitcases filled with everything he owned, a few clothes and some math notebooks. He might have $20 in his pocket, or less. He flew from New York to Indiana and to Los Angeles. He flew across the world from Toronto to Australia. I have no home, he declared. The world is my home. And wherever he went, when he got there, the same thing would happen. I'm going to give you a moment here to look at this page. There's a lot going on here if you want to pause that. A mathematician would meet him and take him home. The mathematician and Paul worked on math. Paul played with the mathematician's epsilons. That was what Paul called children, because an epsilon is a very small amount in math. And just as Mama had done, friends all over the world took care of Paul. They did his laundry and cooked his food and cut open his grapefruit and paid his bills. Now, Paul wasn't the easiest house guest. He made messes, big messes, like the time he got impatient and opened a tomato juice carton by stabbing it with a knife. And he often woke up his host at 4 a.m. and said, "My brain is open." That meant he was ready to do math. He wanted to do math about 19 hours a day, every single day. 19 hours times 7 days a week equals 133 hours a week. It says FBI defeats spy scare, 3 aliens just students. One time, when he was a young man, he broke a rule that got him into big trouble. He climbed over a fence to look at a radio tower. He got arrested. The police thought he was a spy. The FBI thought he was a spy. So they spied on him for years after that. Why did friends all over the world put up with him and take care of him, call him Uncle Paul and love him? Because Paul Erdos was a genius, and he shared his brain. He helped people with their math problems and gave them more problems to do. Plus, he was a math matchmaker. He introduced mathematicians all over the world to one another so they could work together. Paul knew that mathematician plus mathematician plus mathematician equals more and better math. Paul and his friends did so much great math. They worked in math called number theory combinatorics, the probabilistic method, and set theory. Paul showed his friends how to do this math in new and better ways. He even started some new kinds of math. Some of the math Paul and his friends worked on gave us better computers and better search engines on the computer, and better codes for spies to use. Uncle Paul was generous with his brain and his money, too. Whatever money he had, he gave away. He gave money to poor people, and he offered prize money for unsolved math problems. Even when Paul got very old, he still did math. He did math while he played chess. He did math while he drank coffee, lots and lots of coffee. He thought about math while he played ping pong with his best friends. Paul said he never wanted to stop doing math, and he didn't. To stop doing math, Paul said, was to die. So Paul left this world while he was at a math meeting. All over the world, mathematicians still talk about and love Uncle Paul. Even people who never met him, they talk about their Erdos number. If you did math with Paul, you get an Erdos number of 1. If you work with someone who worked with Paul, your Erdos number is 2. People are so proud of their Erdos number. And I'll let you pause that and so you can see the names and the different Erdos numbers that he worked with. A long time ago, there was a boy who loved math. Numbers were his best friends. He grew up to be the man who loved math. Numbers and people were his best friends. Paul Erdos had no problem with that. So that is our story. Really great. And so our breakthrough question for today is, why do you think it's better to do math with others than just by yourself? As we learned from Paul, he connected mathematicians all over the world, and he believed that the more people that thought about something, the better. So why do you think that might be true? Why might it be better to do math with others than just by yourself? So go ahead and go to Flipgrid and answer this question, and then make sure to respond to others. One thing for the response, saying I agree with you is not good enough. Why do you agree with them? Tell us why you agree with them. I know some of your connections have not been very deep. So when you respond to somebody, make sure that you're saying why you agree with them or why you disagree with them. It's okay to say I disagree with you, and if you give a good reason, that's okay. That's a response, right? So good luck. I'm excited to see and hear your answers, and I will see you later.